Welcome back to the Project Freelance podcast. My name is Kay Inagonio, and I am your host here on Project Freelance. This show is all about freelancing, whether you are a photographer, a videographer, a musician, if you're an entrepreneur of any kind, this is the podcast for you. On this show, I bring you different guests from many different industries to share how they built their freelancing business and the challenges they face throughout their career so that you can succeed faster without falling into those pitfalls that we've fallen into. So if you are new to the podcast, first of all, welcome to the show. I hope you guys enjoy the content here. We have over 100 episodes. We're almost at 200 episodes. I've been doing this podcast since 2017, and I absolutely love it. And if you want to check out some past episodes, just scroll around and have a look and see who I've interviewed. And if you want to actually come on the show, you can DM me at Project Freelance on Instagram or Twitter, and we can schedule a time for you to come on the show and share your stories. If you know anybody that's a freelancer and you think that they would have some valuable insight for this audience, please reach out to me, like I said, at Project Freelance on Instagram or Twitter, and you can nominate people. You can just share their profile with me, and I will reach out to them. I would love to do more than one of these a week. Right now, they come out every Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but I'd love to do 2 a week if possible, but we definitely need more guests so that we can make that happen. But for now, if you are a veteran listener, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, please do me a huge favor and leave a rating and feedback on the podcast. All you got to do is go to Apple Podcasts, type in Project Freelance, hit that profile, and then scroll down to the very bottom. You will see other people's ratings and feedback on the show. If you do leave a rating and feedback, please take a screenshot of it and send it to me at Project Freelance on Instagram or Twitter, and I will actually send you a signed photo print that I have taken, either of an abandoned place that I've explored, because when I'm not freelancing, I explore abandoned places. I actually have another podcast called No Tracers, which is all about urban exploration. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely check out that podcast. But yeah, I will either send you a signed photo print of an abandoned place I've explored or of a place I've traveled to. Could be Alaska, Dubai. There's tons of places I've gone, Portugal. So if you guys want a free signed photo print, all you got to do is take the 30 seconds to leave a rating and feedback. The next thing I need to let you know about is going back to the abandoned photography stuff. I actually have a photography book out called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. And if you want a signed copy of that, or if you want to see more of my photography of abandoned places, you can go to notracers.com and pick up a book today. If you want a photo print of mine, I have a darkroom.tech profile. The link is down in the description if you want to pick up a photo print from me of any size. They do canvas prints, framed prints, mugs, all kinds of different stuff. And the last thing I need to let you know about is that we have a partner here on the podcast, and that is Liquid Death Water. If you've never heard of Liquid Death Water, don't worry. I've got an ad coming for you in 3, 2, 1. From the streams of the Austrian Alps comes a new kind of water. A water that is sure to raise you from your grave. If you're tired of buying cases of plastic water bottles that contain carcinogens and God knows what else, or if you're trying to lower your waste footprint, Liquid Death comes in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. Murder your thirst with a can of Liquid Death. Check the link in the description and use code JustTheLetterK at checkout for 10% off your order. Liquid Death. Murder your thirst. So if you would like 10% off your order of Liquid Death Water, go to liquiddeath.com and use code JustTheLetterK, or you can hit the affiliate link down in the description. That will take you to liquiddeath.com and automatically applies that discount code for you. I see you guys ordering 20 cases of water. I appreciate that. Liquid Death appreciates that, and the earth appreciates that. So thank you guys for doing that, and thank you to Liquid Death for partnering with this podcast. All right, without further ado, Freedfilm, please introduce yourself and what it is you do to the Project Freelance audience.
I'm Nicole Burleson, but sometimes people call me Freedfilm. And I'm a photographer and freelance videographer.
Awesome. So what got you into photography and videography? Like, what gave you the bug to do creative stuff?
Well, when I was in high school, I started getting into photography, and I kind of just fell in love with it um, because I love capturing moments, but I also like making, not making, I guess having people see themselves in a different light because a lot of people um, don't see themselves as beautiful. So when I shoot portraits of them, I try to like show them like you are beautiful, like help them see themselves like how they are, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's incredible, and I obviously looked through your portfolio on Instagram, and one of my first questions is, how do you come across these people? Like, are they friends? Like, what? Like, who did you start shooting first? Was it friends, or did you immediately start shooting like strangers, or like how'd you start shooting portraits?
When I got my first camera, I had two other good friends who just got cameras, and so we all just shot each other. And then we learned and had ideas and just played off of each other for a couple years, and then I just started shooting like friends and family, and then yeah, eventually I started shooting strangers.
And what was your first paid shoot? Like, when was the first time that you got some money for photography?
It was for family photos, which I I'm not as good at. I like shooting portraits, but because coordinating a family, I'd never done that before. But they were like, "Oh, you're a photographer. Come shoot my family photos." I was like, "Okay." It was okay. Definitely learned a lot since then. But yeah, so it was a challenge for me to coordinate multiple people for the first time. Uh, but yeah, they paid me pretty good for a little shoot.
Nice. Yeah. Shooting family portraits, I like to kind of compare it to shooting animals because it's just so difficult to get everybody to focus, on
Yeah.
the camera. And like, somebody's always blinking or has their eyes closed or their mouth open or something stupid. So I can totally relate to, shooting family portraits and it being a challenge. And when you were coming up as a photographer and videographer, what other jobs did you have to like bring in income? That's one of my questions. Is like your main occupation while you were starting out.
So I just graduated college. So like 2 months ago. So for a couple years, I was mainly like a full-time student, and then I would do freelance gigs, and I had like various jobs. Like I used to do a lot of like interning at like film gear houses, because I'm really into the camera department. um, and um, yeah.
So, as far as interning goes, like, do you think that you learned a lot during that time? I know a lot of people like to intern when they're coming up as, videographer, photographer. Like for me, I started out as an intern at a skydive drop zone in Dubai where I was living at the time, as a like stock footage videographer for their catalog. So, can you talk more about your internship and what you gained from doing that?
Yeah. So I've interned at two different rental houses. One was called Los Angeles Camera Rental, and they had never really had an intern before, so I was kind of like their test intern. But it was really fun because they taught me like a lot about all different kinds of gear and how to take care of it and how to like do camera builds and break them down and clean them the right way so you don't like permanently damage gear. And then last year I was at B Scene Camera Rental House. It was in Culver City, and there's a guy there named Nick, and he's just so knowledgeable about like everything cameras. And he, like, every day just talking to him, like, I would learn so many things. So I think just being there and in that environment of like constantly being around cameras and people who know like so much about them, I really gained a lot of knowledge that I otherwise wouldn't have.
Definitely. And as far as education goes, you mentioned that you had just graduated from college. Did you study photography or film in college? And if so, did you learn a lot through that? Or do you think that you could have kind of learned everything you needed to know through like interning at those camera rental shops?
Yeah, so I have a film major, and I didn't really know much about film going into it. I just knew that I liked photography and I thought film would be a cool job. So I like going into film school, I didn't really know anything. I just like watched a ton of movies and that definitely helped me a lot because I was just super new going into it. Um
Hmm.
and you can get on a lot of student sets because everyone helps each other, which is really cool. And through that, I learned a lot, especially with like working with a ton of people on a project. Because like freelance photography, sometimes it's just you don't necessarily have a crew like with film. Um, so that
Hmm.
was cool to learn. And I took a couple photography classes while I was there, and that helped me learn a lot about photography and how cameras work because I took darkroom and I didn't know like I shot film but I wasn't like too great at it and I didn't know how to develop it, but through that class they taught you how to develop your own film and print, and that helped me like so much on how to understand like about my camera, and I feel like that transfers a lot into film as well.
Yeah, I'm also a film major, so I have a bachelor's in film production, and I was living in Australia when I was studying film, Western Australia to be specific, and we were supposed to shoot our final project on film, but the previous year that graduated, when they shot their project on film and mailed it over to the East Coast to have it developed, on its way back they like forgot to refrigerate it,
Oh,
or something happened, so all of their film got burned up and they lost all their projects. So for my class they were like, well, we're just going to shoot on digital, so unfortunately I never got to learn how to use film. So I feel like I missed out hugely on that. And for you, can you talk about like one or two of your favorite projects you worked on? Because for me, like I graduated in 2014, and I still remember and have, super fond memories of the projects I worked on, documentaries, short films, silent films, music videos, all kinds of stuff. Like, what were some of your favorite projects you got to work on in school?
man, that's sad about the film. Um,
Yeah, seriously.
um, I think film wise, like film sets, there was this music video that I got to op, um, and I was with these three guys, Chetco, Max, and Jordan, and we were kind of like a solid crew for a couple film sets because sometimes you work with the same people if they like you and like your work a lot, and it was a really big gig for us because a lot of times people don't like to pay film students but
Yeah.
they wanted to pay us, so I thought that was cool. I mean, I wasn't getting paid, I was just there but I was stoked for the people who were. And we were shooting this artist, um, and it was just a really cool set. Like the lighting, Checo DP'd it, and it was beautiful. and also really creepy because we had a like some creepy like trippy mirror scene, and I just loved being on that set because it was kind of stressful. Um, because sometimes people in Hollywood can be like really intense and
Hmm.
stressful, but I wasn't that stressed because I was with like really good people who knew what they were doing, and they wanted to work together to make something great, which I think is really important.
Yeah, definitely. And I can totally relate to, people in Hollywood being a certain type of way. Definitely. I think that a lot of people, even in film sets, can have an ego, even if they're just on the crew, and I've been on both sides of the camera on set. So I've been filming and I've also acted on set. So I've definitely seen a lot of different personalities and had to navigate around them. But I mean, that's awesome and super cool opportunity for you to be on different sets. And uh, how did you, like, going forward with your photography and your video work? How did you find your value and your worth? Like, how did you figure out like what to charge people when you finally started like charging people for your work?
Oh, that's a good question. um, I mean, I definitely shot a lot during high school and would pick up just like little like portrait shoots or like shoot people's senior photos and that kind of thing. And I didn't charge that much. Like I would say like $100 maybe. But I've definitely grown a lot since then and know my worth more. Um, and I've gotten better. Like I'm not the same. And um, I would I would kind of ask around and see what other people were charging, and it depends on like how many photos you plan to give them. Um, yeah, but I kind of do it by that now because I'll give people like 20 to 25 photos for like a portrait session for like $200.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a pretty solid number right there. That's usually what I give. What I provide is 20 to 25 photos per session. I think that that's a good number. Otherwise, you're gonna like overwhelm people with too many photos. Like, how did you find that right number of shots to provide to deliver?
I think just like through like I don't know through the years I guess. I'm not sure how it ended up there.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like trial and error to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then have you ever this question could go either way. You don't have to answer it, but if you have a story, I would love to hear it. Have you ever been screwed over by a client, like not been paid for your work or anything like that?
Oh. um. Yes. I'm trying to think of which one. Um. I do have an interesting story about a music video that I was shooting. Um. For this client, and this client I never worked with them before. Um, it was an artist, and it was a friend of a friend, and I had talked with them about like my idea for their shoot and their ideas, and I thought we were on the same page. And the night before the shoot, um, I had gone to a punk show, which I probably shouldn't have because you probably like sleep before you go shoot. But I just really wanted to go because it was my friend's band and he's not from California. And the client called me at like 1 in the morning, and I was still up because I was hanging out with the band. And I was like, oh, why is she calling me? And she was like, hey, I kind of like looked over um our shots and stuff, and I don't think this is gonna work. like, I think we should do this. And I was like, it's tomorrow. We're shooting tomorrow. I'm like, you want to change this? We can't change this. Like, oh, so that was kind of frustrating. I was like, we can't change it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. It's 1 in the morning. Like, who am I gonna call? Like, everyone's
Oh
sleeping.
my God.
So, I hadn't actually met her yet either, so it was kind of awkward. But it ended up working out, and we compromised on a couple things. Um, but we didn't change like the storyline of the of the video because I was like, dude, why didn't you tell me this like weeks ago, or just not hours before we gotta get up at like 5. So that was not um that was not great, but it worked out eventually. um
Man. It reminds me of this time I shot a music video myself, and the artist changed the story 3 times in 3 days
oh
while we were
oh
shooting.
what?
So like every day we were shooting, the storyline changed, and it was like it was so stressful. But I mean, it was one of my favorite projects I've gotten to work on, just because I was thrown into the deep end with it, and like you, I had never worked with that artist before, and it was absolutely insane. It was just like a crazy 4-day shoot, and we made it work, like just like you did. It sounds like, but it's definitely can be very stressful when artists come to you and they're like, "Hey, I have this idea suddenly," and you're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. Crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. So for you, who are some of your influences in the photography or videography world? Like, who do you look up to as far as that goes?
There's this photographer, I've like, oh sorry, followed on Instagram for years, like since probably like 7 years now, or maybe longer than that. But his name's Christian Watson, and I love his work, because he has a really good style and he's consistent with it, and that's something I kind of struggle with because I feel like I like to think I'm like the Bruce Lee of photography, where I have like the style of no style. We kind of just shoot a ton of stuff, but his work is cool because he shoots on like so many different cameras and like different mediums. Like he's shooting like large format, medium, and 35 and digital. But all of his work looks consistent, and I just think that's really cool. I would like to get to that level someday.
Yeah, definitely. I love that he shoots different formats, different mediums. I think that that's super cool. I spoke with a guy yesterday that does something similar. He's known for shooting abandoned barns. So he travels around the country and takes photos of like different farmhouses and barns and things like that. And he always takes his like gigantic large format camera with him, but he also shoots on a Sony, and he also has a drone. And so he like does all these different things, and I think it's so fascinating when photographers do shoot on different formats and different mediums. And then my last question for you is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Oh, that's good. um, hmm, no, now I think I would say it's okay to be inspired by people, but don't try to imitate them. Like find your own, um, like your own niche. Like I was inspired a lot by Tumblr in high school, shooting like like dark angsty stuff. Um, But I felt like I tried to be influenced. Oh, I mean, it's okay to be influenced, but kind of trying to put myself in their box already, and really you just need to find what you love to shoot and then run with it. Like I started shooting, like I shoot portraits, that's my thing, but I started shooting skateboarding like 2 years ago, and I love doing that, and I never would have thought I would ever be doing that now. Um, so yeah, I would say like just find your niche.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great advice. And I was definitely very inspired by Tumblr as well back in the day, back when it was like popping and had tons of really cool photography on there. So I can totally relate to that. But yeah, definitely for those listening, definitely find your style and try not to put yourself in those boxes just because it will limit you as a creator. So if people want to continue to follow your journey, or if they maybe want to hire you for something, where can they find you online? Drop your social media, your website, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, just at Freedfilm on Instagram, and my website's on there.
All right, guys, that was my podcast with Nicole Burleson, otherwise known as Freedfilm on Instagram. Thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your stories and your insight with everybody here. Congratulations on graduating college, and I hope that you have a long and prosperous career as a photographer and filmmaker. Super stoked about this podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and feedback. And if you want to come on the Project Freelance podcast, just DM me either on Twitter or Instagram at Project Freelance, and we'll get you on the show. I would love to do more of these this year. I would love to do more than one a week. If we could bump it up to 2 a week, that would be awesome. But I definitely need more freelancers to reach out so that I can find you. I typically scroll through Instagram for hours on end looking for amazing artists and entrepreneurs to get on this show. So if you want to nominate somebody, if you have a friend who's a freelancer, or if you follow somebody that's a freelancer, definitely DM me their profile and I will reach out to them. I would love to do that, and I would love to get more people on this show and help more of my audience out with their building their own businesses. So if you're new to the podcast, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have new episodes that come out every Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And other than that, I hope you have a great one. I hope you guys had a good week, or I hope you have a good week. I hope you had a good weekend. But I will talk to you guys again next week on Project Freelance with another guest. For now, stay strong, keep enduring, go out, and go create something. This is Project Freelance.